welcome to another WFM Tipsy Thursdays. I am Juanita Coley, the Contact Center Whisperer, the CEO and founder of Solid Rock Consulting. And this week we are talking about the role of forecasting and the impacts to your contact center, customer experience, employee experience, and business profitability. I have with me none other than the amazing Alex Clark, hailing all the way over from across the pond. Alec, thank you so much for joining me on this week's Tipsy Thursday. I appreciate you.
Juanita, thanks for having me.
Genuinely starstruck to be here.
You are so. I always love following you on LinkedIn and all the things that you're posting. I'm super excited that to grace us are here today to grace us, bestow upon us your wisdom. Let's hop right in. Your wisdom. So listen, let's hop right in. Now this is a big question. I'm kind of setting you up here, right?
Oh,
what
that's
is
good.
the role of forecasting in your own words?
Well, it's the role of forecasting. It's step one. It's the place you start in the planning cycle. So if you've never been a planner before, like I used to not be, then you have to start there. If your forecast says 0, then you can't schedule. You can't do anything. The day will come along and steamroller you, and you won't have a clue where you are. This wasn't even very long ago. I think this was in 2023. I was working with a client who came and asked me to help them. And I sat down in front of them and asked them what their problems were. And one of the guys said, the thing is, Alec, you can't forecast the weather. So why do we even try? And I said, no, you can. And people do every day, right? What you mean is it's hard and you have to be brave and you have to have a go. And you have to say, tomorrow, I think it will snow. And then when it doesn't snow, everyone will say, Alec got it wrong. It didn't snow. What's wrong with him? But the role of the forecaster is to be brave and have a go. And then you have all the technical capability that comes along with that. So, do you know how to use your system? Do you understand the algorithm? What are the feeds? Blah, blah, blah. And then you need intuition. So all of those understandings of maths and statistics, they're great, and some people can really do that, but they still can't say I think it's going to snow tomorrow, because they don't have the intuition to be confident that that is what the machine is telling them. And that's what I think a forecaster has to do. They have to be brave enough to take all of those things, all the soft and hard elements of this, the maths and the people, and external events, right? So maybe you need to look at the news website and see what's happening in the wider world as well. Take everything into account and then be brave enough to make that conclusion. And I think that's where people kind of fall down.
What do you think the impacts of that is, right? When you have a forecaster who is brave, right? Who is leveraging the data and they're standing on the data also, but then they also are then leveraging their intuition to say, yeah, I know this is what the data is saying, but something that we're not taking into consideration is X, Y, and Z. This is something we've never seen before, right? And so we may want to, increase, the handle time, or increase our, this by X percent because of this. Like, what do you think the impacts of that is then?
It's a cascade. So having a person who's there looking after that first step in the planning cycle cascades right down. Like you said at the beginning, employee satisfaction, customer retention, sales improvements, you name it, that's the first step in making this all work. Because if we get an accurate, or even if we're brave enough to stand on a platform that says, actually, I'm not that confident that this is going to happen tomorrow, it's our best guess, and we might find there's a different scenario that could happen given a bunch of just this kind of the confidence to stand on the platform of what you think cascades down. You only need to look at a room full of team managers. When you say to them, I'm actually not sure what's going to happen tomorrow, I don't know, it could be anything, then okay, well, they'll just make it up themselves. They'll have a team meeting and they'll send a bunch of people to their lunch break early. If you say the example I just gave, then they're going to listen to you. You need to instill that confidence in your customers, which as a forecaster is probably going to be the business, right? And when you do that, then people listen to you and they wait for you to say, actually, it's going exactly how I expected. What that means is that we should go ahead with that training session this afternoon. If you can still want to do that, that slot's available to you. And when you can speak with authority, informed by either accuracy or not, like I said, often people are saying, well, are you saying that if I can't make it accurate to within 1%, it's useless to have? No, not at all. It's not the accuracy that I think is important. It's the confidence. You can say, well, normally we're within 1-2%. This week we're thinking that we're aiming for 5. We have a unique set of circumstances. There's X, Y events happening. We've never seen them before. So we've taken a stab. And as such, we think this is what's going to happen. And this is what we're going to do about it.
I think, and one of the things that I love that you said was it's about having the confidence, because one of the things that I've seen actually, I saw this in an organization a couple years back where the workforce management team was saying, right, they have been articulating this, but they didn't stand on it like you mentioned earlier, right? They have been saying, hey, we are understaffed. Now, when I was brought in, the second thing was I gave them the same answer that their workforce management team gave them. The difference was I was confident and I could explain it. Confidence comes through competency.
Yeah.
See, when you're competent, that builds confidence. See, a lot of times you can be right, but you're not sure why you're right. And so you don't have the confidence to articulate what you're saying. So I went in and I did what I needed to do, which again, I didn't tell them anything differently than the workforce management team had tried to articulate, but because they weren't competent in the skill level, right, of how they are articulating the matter, they weren't confident.
I've got to say, probably half the people that I work with, who, if you're watching this, hi, I'm probably not talking about you.
Just kidding.
It's a very common thing to say, well, I basically know everything and I'm right all the time, but no one ever listens to me. That's a thing that planning teams say to me a lot. And when you say, well, all you have to do is learn to not sell maybe, but communicate that message. You're not a server room based team, right? If you want to be based in a server room, then there are 100 jobs that you could have in this building. In a planning team, you kind of have to talk to people. It's the main part of it.
Yeah.
And what I find is that the type of people, and I include myself in this as well,
Me too.
who end up in a, right? So you know that you want to be a planner, you love all the detail and all the kind of affected by the weather and the world and everything. And then like all these people come in that maybe don't really like you or you don't like, and you have to explain something difficult. Like you say, you didn't give them any nuances. The thing you have to do is just change this one little equation, put more people in.
And so what I was able to do in that particular scenario is I was able to give them a framework, right? I was able to say, hey, if you are staffed here, then you need to manage up, which means, hey, you need to be managing to executive leadership to say, hey, I need budget, I need to hire, I need to do these things. That's managing up. But if you're staffed here, right, you're appropriately staffed, you have the people that you need, then you're likely managing down, right? So you're managing from a coaching perspective, you're managing talk tracks, you're managing attendance, you're managing adherence. That is, or you can look at it managing up, managing down, or managing left, or managing right. I think that's part of the role of a forecaster. Forecaster is saying, hey, not only from a mathematical equation, I understand what needs to happen in the business, but how do I articulate this?
Yeah, storytelling is the main thing that I think a forecaster has to do. You know, one thing I notice is that when I encounter those planning teams who say, I know all the answers, right, but I'm just not listened to. And I say, well, we have to try to tell this story. So maybe we design a dashboard. Maybe there's an email that you could send. Maybe you just make a call that you get everyone on twice a day. Whatever it is, you have to take the numbers, you have to make them tell a story. And I get met with skepticism, and they say, no, it can't be as easy as that. And because it is as easy as that, I've had 100 examples of where people have said, okay, well, let's give it a try. And they can't believe the results.
So, Alec, tell me, what do you think the role of the forecaster is, or the impacts, rather? Give me a tip when it comes to the impacts to forecasting in agent life.
This feels like a kind of dumb thing to say, and I can give a different answer if you like. But when I thought about what I wanted to say here, it's that I don't think forecasters should rely on the answer that they get from the forecasting software. That's not to say that they shouldn't use it. It's the only way to contain the complexity. No human brain can have a multi-skilled forecast like locked inside it. But the thing that I see people do time and time again is they say, well, it used to be accurate, now it isn't. And it's always a really easy one to fix. And you guys pay a lot of money for us to come in, and you don't want to pay us to do the easy stuff. So when you find yourself saying, it used to be accurate and now it isn't, find out why. It's easy to do that. You just need to look at the inputs to it. And then you need to use your intuition against the outputs from it. And I think if people did that, then they would need less of my time, which would be awful. So maybe don't. But also, it's an honest tip. So yeah,
I love that answer because it's hand in hand with why we teach not only the solution, but why we also teach the discipline.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like, it's so important. Yes, use the tool, because like you said, listen, my brain be braining, but it can't brain all those different cues and all the different things. And so yes, that's why we use the solution to scale the process. But over-reliance on the tool to be able to think like a human is probably one of the pitfalls that I see a lot of times, right? The tool doesn't know that it's Black Beach Week, right? It doesn't know that it's this, crazy, holiday that's going to come. Like, you have to tell it that, right? And then you have to tell it the factors the impacts that has on the forecast or on the schedules, right? And so if we are heavily relying on the tool, right, to create processes or to understand our environment, then that is going to definitely have a trickle down impact to what agents are seeing when it comes to their actual schedules and where their breaks are and all the different things, right? If they have time off, you said we're going to be just back-to-back calls today, and I came in, my PTO was denied, and I'm sitting here twiddling my thumbs. What happened?
Worst case scenario, right? That's
Right?
an easy way to lose trust, right?
Right. So I love that answer. Well, thank you so much, Alec, for coming to hang out with me on Tipsy Thursdays. I really, really appreciate it. So absolutely amazing. I loved all the insights and tips that Alex shared with us around being bold, right? Being courageous, right? Standing on what your forecast is, understanding how to not only look at the data, but then also making sure that we are thinking outside of the box and being able to articulate that to leadership. Not heavily relying on or over-relying, that's probably the word we should use, over-relying on the tool to do things that we should be using our cognitive ability to do. So I hope that tip was helpful for you this week. Until next time, go be great and let's make impact. See y'all soon. Bye.